Hi, my name is Sanjna Bhatia.
My name's Yukta Sunkara.
I'm Gauree Srinivasan.
My name is Emily Samson, and we are Team UT Longhorns from the University of Texas at Austin. Our presentation is called Breaking the Glass Ceiling, and we are proposing a farm cooperative to empower women in the palm oil industry in Kalimantan.
Our story begins with an Indonesian woman who has been working on a palm oil plantation in Western Kalimantan for years, spraying toxic pesticides. With no protective equipment to keep her safe from these dangerous chemicals, she now complains of fevers, coughing, and nosebleeds. But she can't afford to seek healthcare services because she makes only $2 a day with no health benefits. This is just one of the many stories of women facing labor exploitation, unsafe working conditions, and sexual abuse on the palm oil plantations of Kalimantan, Indonesia.
Development is often viewed in terms of monetary value and GDP of countries. But as contemporary economists such as Amartya Sen point out, economic growth cannot be sensibly treated as an end itself. Development has to be more concerned with enhancing the lives we lead and the freedoms we enjoy. Nowhere is this more clearly seen than in the palm oil industry in Indonesia. While this business is highly lucrative and profitable, there is constant exploitation and maltreatment of marginalized groups, prompting the need to evaluate development in this industry through a different lens.
Therefore, we have identified our problem of interest to be the exploitation of women within the palm oil industry. As one of the stakeholders of this industry, women laborers are disproportionately subject to mistreatment, exploitation, and violence. Additionally, due to patriarchal norms and expectations, women are often denied employment security, are exposed to unsafe and toxic working conditions, and are vulnerable to sexual and reproductive health abuses by male supervisors.
Our proposed solution is to establish a women-led palm oil farm cooperative, and we have three primary goals for this project. The first goal is to reduce the exploitation of women laborers, which we plan on doing through creating a supportive community that is led by and centered on women. Our second goal is to increase the agency and financial literacy of the women laborers, which we will do by promoting women to leadership positions and providing entrepreneurship training. Our final goal is to develop sustainable agriculture practices. Much of the environmental degradation created by the palm oil industry is due to a lack of modern, environmentally friendly technology. So we will make sure the Women's Cooperative is equipped with this technology so they can follow the RSPO's certification guidelines.
We are representing Permaculture Kalimantan, an NGO based in Indonesia dedicated to supporting communities to live in a sustainable manner that integrates the natural environment, people, and culture. PK has experience working in Kalimantan to reach their goals through the provision of community-centered, culturally appropriate education, trainings, and programs. Our plan is to take a three-pronged approach that consists of establishing the farm cooperative, education and training, and financial empowerment. Establishing the farm will consist of developing our land, buying farming equipment and technology, and preliminary infrastructure for the farm. We will also engage in community outreach programs to recruit women to be a part of the farm cooperative in the Sukamulya region in central Kalimantan. We chose this village because PK already has land in the region, which we can use for the pilot program.
Educating and training the women in the multiple steps of the palm oil industry is essential to promoting sustainable and equitable growth in this field. We will utilize our NGO's experience in the region to create a culturally competent education program. When working with marginalized communities especially, it is important for us to understand local culture and values when leading development projects, and this can be done through our NGO's previous work. The program will be tailored to and directed towards the women in the community. Women often hold a lot of agricultural knowledge, and we will be learning from them as much as they are learning from us. Education will consist of sustainable farming techniques, including safety precautions, utilization of modern technology that will promote large-scale and eco-friendly production, and financial literacy and business management skills that the woman can use for future growth.
When discussing financial empowerment, we are committed to improving financial literacy and independence. As Yukta mentioned, the women in the farm cooperative will learn financial management skills during the education phase. Additionally, in order to support their incomes, in the first year of the program, we will be providing the women with wages that are comparable to other palm oil plantations. This is because the setup of the farm and profit generation will take some time, and we don't want to economically disadvantage the woman in this phase. However, after the first year, we hope that the farm will begin producing profits, which will be reinvested in the farm and support the women's incomes. Additionally, we will be exploring numerous sources of income, such as producing artisan crafts in order to diversify the farm's revenue, produce more capital for the farm, and provide a safety net in case of poor crop yields. Our long-term goal is for the farm to become financially self-sufficient and profitable, so that our involvement can be safely phased out.
Like Gauree said, our long-term goal is to phase out our involvement with the cooperative, and within a year of starting the project, we hope that the profits from the farm will be used to sustain the project's costs. In terms of the initial funding for a project, we expect to need around $600,000 to start the farm. $500,000 will be set aside to access sustainable, modern agricultural technology. $30,000 will be allocated for trainings and for sustainable agriculture and entrepreneurship for education. By taking an average laborer's wage, we expect to need to pay around $52,000 for wages for women laborers the first year. And finally, we want to accurately measure the success of our project, so we included a $50,000 monitoring and evaluating fee for a third party to evaluate our project.
The first year will serve as a pilot project for this program. And by the end of this year, we hope to start making a profit and create a strong, committed community for the woman. Metrics of success are important indications of how this project is going 1 year into its commencement. Consequently, by a year, we hope to produce yield on the farm that is comparable to other smallholder farms in the region, meet all of RSPO's sustainability standards in the palm oil fields, and measure greater empowerment and knowledge using surveys.
Our long-term goal is to create a network of self-sustaining women-led cooperatives across Kalimantan, dedicated to supporting Indonesian women in the palm oil industry. Dependent on the success of our pilot farm, we first hope to purchase land for the establishment of an independent farm for the women. We'll also learn from any challenges experienced in the pilot program to improve the success of our future programs. Second, we hope to make profits that can support the women's incomes and be reinvested in the farm to support new environmentally sustainable technologies. Third, we hope to scale this project to establish women-led farm cooperatives in other regions of Kalimantan. All these cooperatives will be connected to create a greater network that can educate future generations of women and new cooperatives in order to create a shared knowledge and resource base. And finally, after the establishment of a network of self-sustaining women-led farm cooperatives across Kalimantan, we will eventually phase out our direct involvement in these farms. In this way, the women will be able to control the management and growth of the farms themselves, and they'll retain economic independence.
Overall, our proposal hits on 6 different points that are important in creating a comprehensive program. In terms of sustainability, we're creating a farm cooperative to empower women that will be self-sustaining after 1 year of our project's initial setup.
In terms of environmental consideration, we are committed to utilizing eco-friendly farming methods using modern technology.
In terms of fiscal pragmatism, the self-sustaining cooperative framework will enable a cyclical revenue system.
In terms of local context, we're utilizing our NGO's local knowledge to develop culturally competent education methods and establish a two-way dialogue with the women.
In terms of creativity, we are establishing the first palm oil farm run only by women in a male-dominated industry in Indonesia.
In terms of logistics, our project execution is feasible in the given time frame and budget. Through this project, we will address issues of the exploitation of women within the palm oil industry. By creating a farm cooperative led by women to empower women, we hope to improve regulatory issues in the palm oil industry faced by this local marginalized community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Team UT Longhorns. We will now have 5 minutes for the judges to ask any questions they may have.
Nice work. I was curious, are you, 2 questions totally separate. One, do you have an agreement with PK to use existing trees that are already planted, since it takes 3 years for palm oil trees to mature? And 2, do you have a sense of demand, both from women and their families who want to work in palm oil but want to work with other women, and from palm oil buyers who, like, what is your assessment around any sort of market for palm oil produced by women, rather relative to potentially cheaper palm oil produced by unaffiliated networks?
So I think I can start off with the second question first. So in terms of demand for, are these women going to want to, participate with other women in these co-ops, and how will the palm oil, then translate into the bigger market? Is that a lot of the times women who are laborers in this market face a lot of exploitation and a lot of abuse and mistreatment, but they are not able to speak out against it because of scrutiny and like possible risks that come with speaking out against it. But there has been research that shows that in other fields, having women in groups and having them supporting one another is a major proponent of them speaking out against the mistreatment. And so one of the incentives for women to work in these co-ops is to have that solid, support group and solidarity amongst all of the women. And so that's where we believe that the demand for this product is going to come from. And then in terms of the palm oil then being translated into the bigger industry, is that women themselves are a major labor force in the palm oil industry. They do, provide most of the labor. So being able to support them in that process and even elevate their productivity is going to probably drive up the production of palm oil and therefore decrease the price in the larger market.
Yeah. And I can add on to that. We've actually been doing research into some of the companies that utilize palm oil, such as a lot of really big like beauty industries like L'Oreal, for example. And L'Oreal specifically has actually released a statement in terms of how they're viewing sustainability and how they're sourcing their palm oil, in which they say that they're supporting independent smallholders, and they're supporting women in like these small businesses, and they're supporting sustainable practices. And because we hope to implement all three of those elements in these farms, we'd be able to market our farm really, really well to these buyers of palm oil. And especially in today's age with how socially conscious consumers have become, PR for these companies in terms of, portraying themselves as socially conscious brands is very, very important. And they're willing to invest a little bit more in these small communities in order to, for these like PR gains and in order to like be able to invest in sustainable brands. And in terms of working with PK, so the lands that PK owns, they've already started developing permaculture on it, and that is like a work in progress. So we anticipate that, they will be like, it won't take as long for these trees to mature because that agriculture has already started being established. And we're proposing this on behalf of PK as kind of like an extension of what they've been doing in these communities. So ideally, if this project was carried out, we'd have to, kind of work out the like the kinks of that relationship, but we do hope that they would be like receptive to supporting communities in this way that's quite in line with their mission.
I'm just curious, building on the answer you just provided about the market. I mean, if you look at a L'Oreal, they may be interested in sort of looking at these conscious brands and the products and the inputs for those conscious brands. But when you think about the scale, is that truly a viable option to go to a big corporation like that? Are there other sort of smaller social good businesses that you're targeting as well, perhaps, or sort of other avenues as you're thinking about where to get this product to?
Yeah, so the palm oil industry is really complicated because the product that you get at the end still needs to be manufactured before like L'Oreal would buy it. So I think maybe like what would be more like would work better for us would maybe to target it to the people who are manufacturing the palm oil as being sustainable and ethically sourced, which is something that a lot of other companies can't say, because if you have women and men on the same farm, we do know there's a lot of injustices going on with women. So I think marketing it to the like middlemen in between might be really helpful. And then they can then take it to smaller companies who they also already have relationships with and sell it as a product that's both sustainable and ethically produced.
Okay, that's all the time we have for questions. Thank you very much, UT Longhorns, and the judges will now begin their 5 minutes of deliberations.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Nice work.
Sure.